Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome everybody to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host Jim Sella in studio with Jay Dash. Going to talk a little Pittsburgh Steelers football for you. We're going to start our player profile segments. Today we're going to do the linebackers. We're going to start with some of the backups and move our way to the starters at the end. The first guy we're going to talk about is Roosevelt Nix. He is listed as a fullback on the Steelers website. This guy is not a fullback. He's a linebacker out of Kent State. He's 5'11", 260 pounds. He's only 23 years old. Dash, you said this guy was the first person cut by the Falcons on Hard Knocks. I don't watch that show.
Please believe. They see problems in his game. He can't play the end because he's too small. He can't play outside linebacker because he's too slow. And he's not a fullback.
And we're stacked at inside linebacker, considering you have Shazier, Vince Williams, Sean Spence, and Lawrence Timmons. So this is a guy, he may catch on. Can he play fullback? I have no idea. Maybe the Steelers honestly converted him to fullback and just didn't say anything about it because nobody cares.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? He's a young guy. They just brought him in for camp. I highly doubt he makes the team. He probably won't even stick around in camp very long.
I don't think so. Another guy, somebody the Steelers drafted this year, Anthony Chickillo. He's 6'3", 267 pounds. He's coming out of Miami, Florida this year. He started 47 of 50 games at Miami. He recorded 170 tackles, 25 for a loss. He had 15.5 sacks. This is a guy we talked a little bit about in our draft segment. He's not somebody who's going to be a superstar every down player. He's more of a situational pass rusher. He could be a standout on special teams. He's going to have to shed a little bit of weight if he wants to play outside to get a little bit faster, especially if he wants to cover anybody. Most likely he's just going to be third down pass rushing rotation, though.
Yeah, he started 47 of 50 games for Miami, had 15.5 sacks in his career, 25 tackles for a loss, 2 forced fumbles, 5 fumble recoveries, nothing too spectacular.
No, he was expected to be a little bit better prospect going into college, from high school into college.
That's why he was on Miami.
A couple good years his first 2 years, but slowed down a little bit as time went on. Somebody who can learn. He can be a backup. Not everybody's a superstar. Another guy on the roster is Terrence Garvin. He's 6'3", 221 pounds. He's 24 years old, coming out of West Virginia. He's entering his third year. In his first 2 years, he only had 27 tackles. He signed with Pittsburgh as an undrafted free agent on May 6th in 2013. This is a guy who finds time in practice, special teams, yeah. He's somebody that at least he's been with the team, so he kind of knows the defense a little bit. So he's definitely better than somebody you just bring in off the street, but he's nobody that's going to push for starting time.
No, but he has stayed healthy, that's for sure. He's played in 31 games over the past 2 seasons.
Which is good, because you need that. You need people to give these bodies a rest every once in a while. The next guy we're going to talk about is Shayon Green. He's got decent size at 6'1", 255. He's 23 years old, coming out of Miami. He signed as an undrafted free agent with the Dolphins last year, but then was cut. And he signed with Pittsburgh this year, I believe, in April.
Yeah, beginning of April. Just an off-season move. Just another guy. He's probably not going to make the team. He actually battled 2 torn ACLs in college and came back from both of them. But like I said, this guy probably isn't going to be on the team.
Yeah. Another guy is Howard Jones. He is 6'4", 238, so he's got really, really good size. He's 25, coming out of Shepherd College. I don't even know where the hell that is. He does have 1 year experience. He signed with the team on May 10th in 2014. He started 48 games in college. He's their all-time sack leader with 35, 139 tackles, 8 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries. Only 1 pick, but he did have 4 block kicks. So this is a guy with a high motor. He can definitely play special teams. So he's got good size. So you could see him land as the last linebacker spot on this roster.
Yeah, this is the guy last preseason that looked pretty decent in limited playing time. He didn't have many tackles. I think he totaled 5 tackles, but he did recover 3 fumbles last preseason.
Shows a lot of hustle, and you got to remember we had linebackers battling for the number 1 spot, so we needed those guys getting as many reps as they could. We pretty much know who our number 1s are this year, outside of maybe Harrison starting in place of Jarvis Jones. So they'll get their reps, those first teamers, but these guys are going to get a chance to show what they can do. Another bum on the roster, I don't know if I should call him a bum because he had a good year for the Calgary Stampeders last year, is Sean Lemon. He's 6'2", 250. The guy's 26 years old. He came out of Akron College. He's a rookie to the NFL. He was undrafted in 2011, but he didn't make any teams as an undrafted free agent. Like I said, he played for the Calgary Stampeders in 2014, where he had 13 sacks and 8 forced fumbles. He was one of the best defensive players, if not the best defensive player last year, but that doesn't always turn into success in the NFL. Not everybody's Cameron Wake.
Maybe it's the next James Harrison, or maybe he's just a lemon and you got to go back to Calgary.
We're finally going to get into some guys that will see some playing time. Number 55, Arthur Moats. He's 6'2", 250. He's 27 years old. He's entering his 6th year in the league. He had 23 tackles, 17 solo, 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery last year. He started 9 games. This guy has 164 tackles in his career, only 9 sacks though, 4 of them coming last year, like I said. He's never really been a player who's been given the opportunity to take the number 1 job and run with it. He played well in his limited time last year for Pittsburgh. I was really happy that we re-signed him. At best, he's a great depth guy, and I mean that as a great depth guy because he could be a spot starter and turn into be a solid player for an NFL team if given the chance.
Yeah, he has 9 career sacks, so he never did much in Buffalo. The most games he played in a season for them was 12. Actually, 9 last year was his second most in any season, but I liked what I seen out of him out of limited playing time, and the 4 sacks he got for the Steelers were actually a career high for him. So it looks like he's working well in the Steelers system. Now, I do think long-term he is more of a backup linebacker for him.
Definitely. Backup linebacker, a situational pass rusher when the Steelers are going to be deploying sometimes 5 linebackers from what I've been reading. On Keith Butler's defense, there's a few wrinkles he wants to add, and he really, really, really wants to get to the quarterback. Not that Dick LeBeau didn't, but it's going to be a little different. So I think Moats, being the solid player that he is, he's a great player to have on the team for Pittsburgh because they don't have a lot of depth outside, and they don't have anything proven outside, really, beyond James Harrison, who's 37 years old, because Jarvis Jones hasn't got it done yet, and Bud Dupree's still very young. The next guy is number 51, Sean Spence. Spence is a little shorter at 5'11". He's 231. He's 24, another guy out of Miami, entering his 4th year in the league. He had 53 tackles, 34 solo, and 1 sack in his career. He had a gruesome knee injury and missed the entire 2013 season. This is a guy that was taken in the 3rd round by the team. He had a lot of speed at linebacker, so they thought he could fit in really well, even though he's kind of short. He showed a lot of promise last year, playing in place of Ryan Shazier when he was hurt. Nobody even thought this guy was even going to be able to come back after the knee injuries that he had, and he's battled his way back, and he actually held on to the starting job for a game or 2 after Shazier came back.
Do you think he can actually push Shazier for a starting position?
Well, him and Vince Williams rotated well when Shazier was hurt, and all 3 of them played in a rotation last year after the Shazier injury. So if Shazier is what we hope he is, Spence won't take this position, but he will push him in training camp, and he will play. Like I just said a couple
I'm not saying
minutes
he's not going to
ago.
play. He played 16 games last season, obviously, so he's definitely going to be playing on this team.
His time will be taken down, though, if Shazier stays healthy for the whole year.
Oh, understandable.
It's either going to be him or Vince Williams that are going to lose time. Because Lawrence Timmons hasn't missed a game in freaking 5 years or something. The other backup that I just mentioned, Vince Williams, he's 6'1", 250. He's 25 years old, out of Florida State, entering his 3rd year. He played in all 16 games last year. He started 2 of them. He had 43 tackles, 28 solo. So if you add his 43 tackles, Spence's 53 tackles, that's 96. And then whatever Shazier had, I don't know off the top of my head. We actually got a lot of production out of that middle linebacker position last year. That spot, and you know as well as I do from watching them, the James Ferriers, the Levon Kirklands, we need that middle linebacker to be great, and we need him to be smart because they call all the plays for the defense usually, and Spence, Williams, and Shazier have played very well.
Yeah, another guy that played 31 games over the past 2 seasons.
And his playing time was limited, so you
Obviously.
didn't really know if Williams or Spence, especially Spence missing all that time, could step in. And they surprised everybody, especially in the second half of the year last year. So this is another guy that could definitely see time in a rotation, especially if Shazier struggles again. Another guy they got, Jordan Zumwalt. He's 6'4", 235. He's 23 years old, out of UCLA, entering his second year. He was the first of 2 six-round picks in 2014. He had some injuries last year, and he was put on injured reserve, so he didn't really play. But this is a guy who can play inside or outside. He has a lot of versatility. They got a lot of depth at inside, so hopefully he can play outside for his sake, because if not, he may not have a roster spot. But they certainly don't have a lot of depth outside, especially with a lot of unproven players. So they liked him in camp. They liked him before the injury, and they still are real high on this guy. This is somebody that could earn a roster spot through special teams. He's got a high motor, and he's a good character guy. All his teammates like him. So don't be surprised to see him latch on for one of those last few spots.
Yeah, this is another guy they were excited about last year during the preseason. They thought he looked pretty good, and in the first game, he actually had 5 tackles.
Yeah, he's somebody they were hoping they could come in and play. They knew Shazier was young last year, so they didn't know exactly what they were going to get out of him. But then, unfortunately for Zumwalt, that injury really derailed everything. So he's kind of a rookie again this year. So we'll see what he can do. We'll see him in the preseason a lot, I'm sure. Well, everybody's favorite linebacker in Pittsburgh, number 92, James Harrison's next. Everybody knows Harrison isn't a real tall guy. 6 foot, 242. He's 853 years old. He's 37 years old. Out of Kent State. He's coming into his 13th year this year. He played 11 games for Pittsburgh last year with 45 tackles, 5.5 sacks. He signed with the team after the season started and Jarvis Jones got hurt. I think Harrison missed a game or two himself, so he didn't play, obviously, in all the games. He had a lot of production in a 3-game span for Pittsburgh. What was it? The Indy, Baltimore, and Houston? Was that the 3 games?
Yeah, Houston was first, or
Yeah.
was Indy first, then
I don't
Houston.
remember.
Houston and Indy were back-to-back, I believe.
Yeah, and then Baltimore.
Correct.
I think all 3 in a row. He had a great 3 games there. He was definitely an impact player for Pittsburgh. I'm not taking anything away from him. He puts pressure on the quarterback even when he doesn't sack him. But he's 37 years old. You know his body's going to start to break down eventually. This is a guy who's great to have on your team, especially with the unproven players on the outside. You know what you're going to get out of him. But he cannot handle the rigors of being a starter for every defensive snap all year long like people think. He's not immortal. He's just James Harrison.
Well, he spent, $600,000 the one-off season on his body, so who knows, maybe he can play till he's 70 years old. But really, I'm looking at it, man, he played in 11 games, only started 4 games, and he still came up with 5.5 sacks. Now, if you look, his career high was 16 sacks in 2008. But besides that, 10.5 was his second highest in any season. So really, he pretty much gave you the same production, just in limited playing time last year.
That's the thing, though. The limited playing time is why you're getting the high production. If you spread that playing time out to more...
Oh, they know that.
Less is more for Harrison. The fans don't know that. Fans are all over me because I say James Harrison shouldn't be the starter. Well, he shouldn't be the starter. You didn't draft Jarvis Jones in the first round to let a 37-year-old guy keep taking his reps away. You got to find out what Jones can do.
You do, but from what I heard, Jarvis Jones is still having wrist problems right now. And if he isn't producing early in the season, I would have no problem with playing James Harrison more often than not and just giving him some reps when you have to.
If they stop playing Jarvis Jones this year for any reason other than injury, then you got to cut him after the season.
Oh, I agree. If he doesn't have a
waste.
good season, I would cut him. You can't just let this guy, it'd be through 3 seasons, he'd pretty much have let's say he doubles his sack total this year, that'd be 4. That's still not acceptable.
Yeah, it's bad. But I like Harrison. I like what he brings to the team. I like the intensity that he brings to the field. But I do not want him as a starter because then that means they failed with a first-round pick. And it means the defense isn't going to be as good. Because if Jones catches on and starts and plays as well as he should, and Harrison can come in and play as well as he can in his limited time, that makes us even more dangerous. Imagine if Jones is playing full-time the way he should, and you can have a healthy Harrison coming in on 3rd downs just trying to rip the quarterback's head off.
It would be nice.
It'd be amazing. If all he ever had to do was play 3rd downs, he would be great. Shazier's 6'1", 237 pounds. He's only 22 years old, out of Ohio State, entering his 2nd year. Had a little bit of injury issues last year. I don't want to call them injury issues because he only played 1 year and you can get hurt. It's not issues until it happens multiple years in a row. He recorded 36 tackles. He didn't have any sacks last year. He played in 9 games, started 5 of them. He split time with Williams and Spence, like we said. He did seem a little confused at times out on the field. Polamalu was confused in his first year with the Steelers out on the field. Everybody talks about how complicated Dick LeBeau's defense is to learn. I think Shazir's healthy now. I feel like the whole defense, nobody wanted Dick LeBeau to go, but they're excited to see what Keith Butler can do. They're excited to learn a new program, not a new defense, but just a new way of doing things, a different way of doing things. Shazir has all the tools. He ran a 4.3 40, a little over 4.3 at the combine, so we know he has the athleticism. He doesn't have any hair on his head or any eyebrows, but other than that, I got no beef with the guy.
Yeah, you can't look at a guy's rookie season and determine anything with him. I even came in the last season saying Jarvis Jones is going to be fine. There's no reason to not think so. But after another season of not seeing much out of Jones, you got to start questioning it a little bit. And the same thing with Shazier. If he has a bad year, you might want to start questioning him as well. But I look at it, before he got hurt, in Game 2 at Baltimore, he had 11 tackles, 6 solo. So he was playing good, and then he got hurt, and he was out most of the season. And then he came back for, 3 games at the end of the season or something?
Yeah, and once Spence and Williams have really solidified themselves and the defense was playing well, you're not just going to throw a rookie in there to throw everything off. The Steelers were in a playoff push. They won their division, so they did the right thing by limiting Spence by limiting Shazier when he came back. And this is a guy who can blow up. I really think the linebackers, these starters, are going to blow up this year. I'm sick of hearing all the moving to safety. Shut up. We're not moving him to safety. Big deal, he's fast. Who cares? He's also big. He's going to be a great middle linebacker for the Steelers. He's just got to get his head to catch up to his athleticism, and I really think the guy can do that. He's a smart guy.
Yeah, I have no problem with the inside linebackers. You're saying this linebacker core is going to blow up.
You better believe it.
I'm still worried about Jarvis Jones, but I'm not worried about the inside linebackers right now. I think that's the strength of the linebacking core right now.
Definitely, especially with the next guy we have to talk about, number 94, Lawrence Timmons. He's Pittsburgh's LT minus the coke and prostitutes. He's 6'1", 234. This guy's 29 years old, coming out of Florida State, entering his 9th year. He had 132 tackles last year, 87 of them solo, 2 sacks. He has played and started in all 16 games in the last 4 years straight, and I'm pretty sure the season before that he only missed 1 game.
He played in it. He just didn't start it.
Okay, so then he's only missed, 2 for his whole career?
2 games.
Ridiculous.
2009.
So good. And he played on the outside his first year after we drafted him because he was an outside linebacker
Well, he didn't
coming out
start
of Florida
his first
State.
2 seasons. He
Correct.
only had 2 starts through his first 2 seasons.
But he did play on the outside.
Correct.
This guy, he's just great. He's so underrated in the NFL, it's unreal.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about him.
Well, that's the thing. He's not getting the high sack totals because that's not what the Steelers do with their defense. He's just there he stops the run every single time.
He gets the tackles. They use their defensive line to literally open holes right towards him, similar to what Baltimore did with Ray Lewis. We funnel the run right at Timmons because we know he's so good, strong, and fast. He's just going to come up, shut the running back down, and boom. Third and 11.
He's had 10 or more tackles 7 times last season.
Just ridiculous. 132 tackles, man. That's crazy.
Beast mode.
87 solo. That's the impressive part. 87 solo tackles.
And over the past 5 years, now I know he didn't have an interception last season, and when you look at his career total, only 9 interceptions, you're like, that ain't too great. But over the past 5 years, like I said, 0 last year, but he had 8 interceptions the previous 4 years. So,
yeah, so
it's
he
not
was
that
turning it
terrible.
on. He figured out that part of his game. Teams were probably shying away from him last year because they knew he was the best player on our defense.
It's still hard to imagine. This is already going to be his 9th season, though. I remember when they drafted him, and I actually wanted them to draft Lamar Woodley, of all people, and they ended up getting Woodley in the 2nd round. But I can't believe that was Mike Tomlin's first year.
Great draft pick. Best pick he's had.
It was the best pick he had for at least the first 6 years, correct?
Believe it. I don't even think it was his pick. They probably told him he had
That's
to pick
what I'm
him.
saying. That was the one pick that really wasn't his pick at all in his coaching career. And then his first real pick was Lamar Woodley.
Yeah, who actually was good until he got the money, and then he turned into a fat, lazy bastard.
I was pumped when they drafted Woodley.
I was too. He had all the talent. And, dude, he dominated. Him and Harrison, they were a deadly combo on the outside for a 2-3 year span there. We got 2 more guys to talk about. Both of them outside linebackers. Both of them are starting outside linebackers. Hopefully, number 95, Jarvis Jones. He's 6'2", 245. He's 25 years old, out of Georgia, entering his third year. And
So wait. You're going backwards from worst to best.
Yeah.
And we got Bud Dupree up at the top, huh?
Well, I went from non-starters to starters.
Your
not-
starters
Timmons
are your best.
Timmons is the best, so if I'm ending with the best, we would have ended on Timmons.
Yeah, I agree. But it just seemed like you were going from worst to best. And all
In
of a
position,
sudden,
I guess,
Dupree's
yeah.
at the
Middle,
top.
Timmons was the best, so outside, Bud Dupree is our best outside linebacker. He ain't even played yet.
I'd have to say James Harrison until Bud Dupree plays at least one game.
I don't know. I'm going to give it to Dupree because Harrison's about to break in half. But anyway, Jarvis Jones, entering his third season, his first 2 years were very injury-plagued. He had a wrist injury that limited him a lot in his first year, and then last year, I don't remember what it was that was limiting him. He had an arm injury, I think.
It was his wrist.
Was it his
He's
wrist
still
again?
having wrist problems.
Okay, well, maybe he needs to get a girlfriend and his wrist will get some rest, all right?
Well, no, I'm seriously worried about this wrist now because I just heard today that his wrist is still having problems. So now we're going on his entire career having wrist problems. And you look, 14 games his rookie year. He started 8 of those and came up with 1 sack. I said you can't look at a guy's rookie year and make a determination on it. But then you look last year. I know he was injured, but he still played in 7 games and started 3. He did come up with 2 sacks. I guess that's not bad. If you double that, 4, 5
in a
maybe.
season, that's terrible.
I mean, yeah, he got to get better than what he did last season.
2013 first-round pick, so he needs to have a breakout year. I'm saying 8 sacks or more he's got to get this year to become an impact player. If not, his option will not get picked up. Pittsburgh will not keep him around.
Yeah, I've seen people saying, look at Harrison his first couple years and how he didn't have many sacks. Well, guess what? Harrison was an undrafted free agent that we cut several times.
Baltimore
so you didn't
cut him.
no one in the world knew this guy was just going to break out and become the beast he was. Jarvis Jones, he was a first-round pick, and he was supposed to be a beast starting year 2 at least.
Yep. What does he have, 58 tackles for his career, I think?
58 tackles, 39 of those solo, 3 sacks. He does have 4 passes defended, all coming in his first season, and he had a forced fumble last season.
Garbage.
I mean, his high in tackles last season was 6, and his high solo was 4.
Ugh. He just got to get it going. He's somebody that Steelers need to get it going. If he stays healthy, I think he can do it. If not, you'll see James Harrison there.
Yeah, I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying there's no reason to be confident in that position going forward this season. Right now,
I'm
like
excited.
you said, they're going to blow up. I'm still worried about it. I can't just believe in this guy until he shows me at least something.
Well, the reason they're going to blow up is our next guy, number 48, Bud Dupree, the Pittsburgh Steelers' first-round pick this year. He's 6'4", 269 pounds. He's 22 years old, out of Kentucky. It's his rookie year. This guy had 248 tackles, 23.5 sacks, 38 tackles for a loss, 4 forced fumbles in 47 career games in college. He's a guy who knows how to drop back in coverage, which is what that position requires. If you've seen Worlds last year, he was dropping back quite often. Dupree is a high-character guy. He's a high-motor guy. He's big. He's strong. He could get a little stronger in the lower body, so that'll definitely help him get around the corner more. But he's our guy. It's not going to be Arthur Moats. It's going to be Bud Dupree on the outside to start the year, and he's going to have a big year. I really believe it. I know linebackers don't always have great first years, but this is a guy that knows what he's going out to do. He's smart. He'll get it.
Well, Dick LeBeau's gone, and it's Keith Butler now, so we'll have to see how Butler handles this defense, first of all. But really, Ryan Shazier, he's been decent, and I'm happy about him going forward. Jones, I'm worried about. Dupree, I got to see them turn one of these linebackers into a complete monster. I think it's going to be Bud Dupree, but I want to see at least one of those 3 linebackers become a Pro Bowl linebacker this season.
Well, I mean, they've done it. They've done it with Lawrence Timmons. They've done it with Lamar Woodley. They've done it with James Harrison. So you know they can do it. It's, do these players have the talent for the team to be able to help them get to that level?
Yeah, I'm not talking about these older guys. I'm talking about these 3 young guys.
I understand, but I'm saying the organization knows how to do it. So if it doesn't happen, to me, it's more the guys didn't have it and they missed on the draft pick. But Shazier, the jury's still, it's too early for him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You got to give him at least
another full season.
Yeah. You got to, by the end of season 2, we'll be sitting here making a determination on him. Although you're not ready to make one on Jones right now. You want to see 3 seasons of garbage.
Because he's been hurt so much. I want to see a full season
Well, that's
where
part
he's
of
healthy.
it too, though.
I understand. And I mean, now Jones is the guy that if he has injury problems again this year, he's injury prone. Like we were saying how people were calling Shazier. Shazier has played 1 year. You can't call him injury prone. If it happens to Jones again and he misses time because of that wrist, he's injury prone. And that may just be enough of a reason to move on from him. Because even if he can give you production, if he's not on the field, he can't give you squat.
Yeah, but all in all, Bud Dupree, I expect him to be the best linebacker of all these. I know you say that when there's you bring in a rookie, you always expect him to be the best. But really, this guy was one of the best guys in the draft, and he's a freakish athlete, and I think he can turn into one of the best outside linebackers in the NFL.
I'm confident in all of them. I'm hopeful with Jones. I'm confident in Shazier,
yes.
Timmons, and
Well, I'm
Dupree,
hopeful too.
and I'm hopeful with Jones. At least we know what we got in Harrison. But like we said before, less is more. If Harrison has to start all the way through the year, all 16 games, he'll
Well, they
wear
won't
down.
let that happen. They'll never let that happen.
I guess you could try to plug Moats in if Jones went down, but Harrison would have to share time if something bad happened with Jones. But that's it. That wraps it up. Thank you, Dash, for coming in. Thank you, fans, for listening. You guys can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. You can follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the website at thespreadnews.simplesite.com. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to that YouTube channel.